So further to the atmospheric explosion atmosphere, we are going to study ingredient required for an explosion. We have an explosive atmosphere, right? And this we have already studied about the definition of this explosive atmosphere. Like any atmosphere to be explosive required gas, vapor, mist or dust mixed with air, right? Now we are going to study what are the ingredients required to happen an explosion, actual explosion. So there are basically three ingredients. The first is explosive atmosphere. The second is oxygen, and the third is of course an ignition source, right? First essential component required is explosion of atmosphere, second is oxygen, and third is ignition source. So without, if any one of these three items is not present, explosion will not happen. So all three items, all these three ingredients are necessary for an explosion to happen. If there is an oxygen and ignition source, then there is no explosive atmosphere. Explosion will not happen. If explosive atmosphere is there, ignition source is there, and there is no oxygen, explosion again will not happen. And similarly, if explosion atmosphere is there, oxygen is there, and there is no ignition source, explosion will not happen again. So all these three items are necessary for the explosion to happen. Now let's talk about these three items one by one. The first ingredient, explosive atmosphere. How the explosive atmosphere is formed, we already studied that, but I'll explain it again. Presence of potentially explosive flammable gas, vapors and dusts, right? Gas plus air mixture will make an explosive atmosphere. Which are those gases? And these are not gas only. This is gas or vapor or mist or dust, right? So which are those gases? Which are those dusts? Some of the gas names are as follows, like flammable gases, methane, propane, hydrogen, ethylene, etc. And flammable dusts. Which are dusts? Dust of coal, paper, sugar, wheat dash maize flour, light metals like magnesium, titanium, aluminium, right? So dust of coal, a very highly potential of being to form an explosive atmosphere. Then pepper, sugar, wheat, maize flour, and light metals like magnesium, titanium, aluminum. The dust of a certain size mixed with air will become highly explosive, right? What was the second part? Second part was oxygen. This is the second ingredient item, oxygen. For any substance to combust or burn, it required oxygen, right? How much oxygen in air? 20.95% oxygen. IEC says so. IEC says, IEC 60079 says it's 21%. Right? Higher oxygen percentage are considered dangerous. If it is more than 21%, more than, more dangerous. Oxygen combines with the flammable substance to give us sustainable burning. Okay, so oxygen we understand. The third essential part is ignition source. It is a source of energy which has the capability to set fire to the surrounding substance. Anything in the surrounding having explosive atmosphere plus oxygen and ignition source will cause fire. So what are the source of ignitions? Let's discuss that. Common ignition source are first electrical and mechanical sparks. Okay, any spark happens due to electrical or mechanical will become a ignition source. Mechanical spark is like some shaft is moving and some bearing is there. If there is a more friction than the required, it might spark generate. Second is arcs in welding. Okay, third is flames, itself a fire. Fourth is hot surface. How come hot surface can be the ignition source? See, here I'm not talking about the ignition, not talking about the fire, the spark, the actual arc you can see by your naked eyes. Not only that, it is there, but not only that, there is one more item which you cannot see by your naked eyes, that is hot surface. It is a source as well, potential source for ignition. This flame you can see, arcs you can see, and sparks you can see. Sparks sometimes happen very quickly, momentarily, in millisecond and less than a millisecond, and you will be able to see that. If that happens, there'll be explosion immediately. This item also you won't be able to see that, and hot surface is, of course, you won't be able to see that. So these all are the sources. And also one more source is there, that is electrostatic discharge, etc. Right? So we understood three parameters which are essential for explosion to happen. First is explosive atmosphere. Second is explosive atmosphere plus oxygen plus the third item is ignition source. So these all three are necessary for an explosion to happen. Okay, now can we say that we can make an explosion triangle which will have oxygen, ignition, energy, and hazardous gas. Earlier I said explosive atmosphere. See, any hazardous area which is having atmosphere explosive is called hazardous area. And we are identify a gas here, so the hazardous gas is the third part. So here we can make a explosion triangle, right? So let's draw the explosion triangle. First item is oxygen, second is ignition, energy, and third item is hazardous gas, explosive atmosphere, right? This is same. If all these three happens, oxygen, ignition, energy, and hazardous gas, then only fire will occur, explosion will occur at this place, explosion, right? So one more thing I would like to mention here, that the amount of gas present and also the amount of energy in the ignition source are very important factors that determine whether the explosion will take place. If the ignition energy is not appropriate, it will not happen. And also, the gas present in the atmosphere is not above its LEL, lower explosive limit, what we studied earlier. So it should be in the right quantity for the explosion to happen.